So this is the PDF that is located in the reading section of Unit 2. It is called Value Contrasts. There's 2 sheets. The first sheet looks like this. The second sheet looks like this. So what we're going to do, let me not save that, is talk a little bit about how to fix some issues. So a properly exposed photo has full tonal range. So that means that there is detail in the highlights and details in the shadows. If it's overexposed, you lose detail in the shadows. And then when it is underexposed, it is too light and you lose detail in the highlights. You also want to talk about high contrast, medium contrast, and low contrast. So when things are in medium contrast, you have detail in the highlights, midtones, and the shadows, and there's a believable sense of depth and modeling of the form. When you have too much high contrast, you lose detail in the highlights, midtones, and shadows. And if it's low contrast, your photo could be too gray and flat with no sense of space or depth. Okay, so let's talk about how to fix some of these things. So when a photo is high contrast, you have some choices. I always recommend selecting an area to make a change. So I'm just going to select that area and I'm going to mask off that area because I want to only affect that area of this particular space. So I've used the marquee tool that we've used before to create our gradients. And we're going to take that marquee tool, select the area that we want to make adjustments to, and we're going to select down here where it says add layer mask. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to add a layer mask to make sure we're only making changes in that area. Another way that you can go about it is if you already know what your adjustments are going to be, you can select the area using the marquee tool, and then the adjustment tabs is here. If you don't see it, you can also go to layer and new adjustment layer and then select what you want to work with. I always recommend starting with levels. When you work with brightness and contrast, it only allows you to change how bright or how dark and the contrast. However, when you're working with levels, it allows you to actually make changes individually of the shadows, the highlights, and the midtones. So I have my new layer here. I'm going to just name it levels. And as you can see, it's already created a mask for me. In the levels menu, you have the shadows here, the highlights here, and then the midtones. So you can change things individually. Making adjustments as you see fit. You can also lighten or darken the entire space. And here, and move forward based on what your photograph needs. Making changes, pulling the levels in or out. So that's one way to make adjustments to your photo. I'm going to Command Z and go back to the start. If you have a specific area, so let's move down here, where you just want to increase the contrast in a specific area, you have a couple choices. There's the lasso tool and the magnetic tool that you might find useful depending on the shapes within your surface. So the lasso tool allows you to, if you click and hold, select a specific area to outline. Uh-oh. So maybe it wants us to grab a larger area, which is fine. I'm just selecting an area. There we go. So it'll select and change that specific area. You can make adjustments to the feathering of the pixels. So let's just say 0 feathering for that. So after you select an area, you can make adjustments and changes just in that specific area. So what it's done is went ahead and applied an opacity to that specific layer. So you can also deselect, I'm going to deselect that. The magic wand tool or the quick selection tool is also useful. To grab an area, and then again, if you just select one of these levels, it already has made the mask for you. And then you can make further changes on just that specific area that you're working on. In order to make further changes to the mask, so say you want to extend an area, but you have it very specific. If you go to the brush tool, and you can change the size of the brush tool and the hardness of the brush tool. Black conceals, white reveals. So if white is on the top, and I use the brush tool, it will add that adjustment to the area that I've just added. If I want to change it, I'm going to go back and forth and pull to the front the black by just hitting X. I can take away the changes. So it's also a way to do what's called non-destructive editing of a photo. Okay, non-destructive editing of a photo. So if you have areas of your photo that are too dark or too light, this is one way you can change it. The way that you want to kind of think about, well, do I need to change this area of the photo? Ask yourself, is there detail in the highlights, midtones, and shadows? If you cannot see detail in the highlights, midtones, of shadows, it could be either too high contrast, too low contrast, or it could be underexposed with too much light, or overexposed where there's too many darks, too many shadows. Okay,